that Taylor Guitar makes is called the Grand Auditorium. Okay? And this is a GA, Grand Auditorium. This is the first guitar, the first sort of original shape that Bob Taylor actually designed in 1994.
เป็นเชฟแรกๆของกีตาร์เทเลอร์ที่บ๊อบเทเลอร์ซึ่งเป็นผู้คิดค้นสร้างขึ้นมาเนี่ยเริ่มต้นเชฟนี้แล้วก็เป็นรูปทรงที่ขายดีที่สุดแล้วก็เป็นที่นิยมที่สุดด้วยเหมือนกัน
Any guitar that we make that ends with the number 4 is a Grand Auditorium
รุ่น
shape.
ที่ลงท้ายด้วยเลข4นะครับ314 214 114
So this is a 714. If you look at the guitars along the wall, you'll see 214s, 314s, 414s. They're all the exact same shape. They're Grand Auditorium shape. And the reason that we start with this guitar is that this guitar, to many of us, is a really good choice because this guitar does lots of styles really well. If you're a guitar player who plays some pop songs, plays some folk songs, you're working on your finger picking, you do a little flat picking, maybe you're working on your jazz chords and blues, and you're sort of all over the map, so to speak, stylistically. Grand Auditorium is a really good guitar for that.
ก็คือพูดง่ายๆว่าทรง Grand Auditorium เนี่ยค่อนข้างที่จะเล่นได้หลากหลายแนวไม่ว่าจะเป็น flat picking คือใช้วิธีการใช้ปิกดีดหรือว่าใช้กาวหรือว่าใช้ตีคอร์ดค่อนข้างที่จะหลากหลายเรามาฟังร่วมกันครับ
And when this guitar came out in 1994, it was sort of a whole new sound. It was a modern sounding guitar. It's not what we would really call traditional. It's a modern sounding, well balanced, even guitar sound. So I'm going to play this guitar a little bit, and I want you to get the sound of it in your head, and then I'm going to switch to another guitar and see if you can hear a difference. Now the first 3 guitars that I play are all going to be the same tone woods. They're all rosewood back and side guitars, and they're all Sitka spruce tops. So the only thing that's going to change in the first 3 guitars is the shape of the guitar.
เดี๋ยว3ตัวที่เขาจะเล่นนะคะโทนวูดเหมือนกัน ต่างกันแค่รูปทรงของกีตาร์ and then you're gonna play the same song the same pattern
Yeah, you'll hear that right away. So here's a GA.
Auditorium นะครับ
What do you notice?
Bigger sound.
Bigger sound,
More
right?
bass.
More bass? Yes. This is called a Grand Orchestra. Okay? GO, Grand Orchestra. And if you look at this instrument, it's wider and it's also deeper than the first guitar. And just that little change in body shape makes a completely different sounding guitar. If you're somebody who likes the sound of a big guitar, or you like to hit hard and you like to feel it rumble against your chest, right? This is a really good shape for you. It's a good shape for somebody who's an aggressive strummer. You know, if you're somebody who likes to dig in hard on the guitar, you can really hit this guitar hard, and it has a higher volume threshold than the first guitar. Okay, and you can hear right away just the bottom end and the rumble in it. Now, what's interesting about this guitar is that it's still very even and balanced. Okay, you can still fingerpick on this guitar. Traditionally, in the past, there have been many big shape some shapes of guitars that are really big are kind of only good for bass notes. The treble gets lost sometimes. But this guitar, even from the low end to the high end, is really, really balanced. So even when I'm playing low notes, there's no dead spots, it's really even. All the way across the fingerboard. Okay, so it's a whole new sound for us. Now, the nice guitar is going to sound completely different. This is called the GC. This is the smallest guitar we make. And immediately, you hear it has a different personality, right? But this guitar kind of speaks to us a little bit differently than other size guitars. And that this guitar is, I said, the smallest body we make. It's also shallow from front to back. Really comfortable to play. If you're not real tall, Grand Concert is a great shape. It's super huggable. Okay, it's great to hug.
And you got charter scale as well.
Yeah, that's right. The scale length on a Grand Concert is shorter. That means the distance between the nut and the saddle is about a ½ inch shorter than all the other shapes that we make.
คือพอสเกลมันสั้นใช่ไหมครับเทนชั่นของสายที่มันระหว่างจากนับจนถึงแซดเดิลเนี่ยมันก็จะทำให้แรงดึงของสายมันลดลงผู้เล่นก็จะรู้สึกว่าเล่นได้ง่ายขึ้นดังนั้นตัวนี้มันก็เหมาะสำหรับผู้จริงเหมาะกับสไตล์คนไทยเหมือนกันคือตัวเล็กนะครับแต่ว่ามันก็มีเอกลักษณ์เสียงที่แตกต่างไปจากตัวอื่นเหมือนกัน
And when you have a short scale guitar, it has a different feel. It's easier to bend strings, and it's just easier to fret notes. That's kind of a law of physics. If you have two guitar strings, and they're the same gauge, and they're nailed into a board, they're tuned to the same pitch. If one is longer than the other, that one's going to have more tension on it.
อย่างที่ผมบอกนะครับว่าถ้าใส่สายเบอร์เดียวกันนะครับจะเห็นว่าสเกลของตัวกีตาร์มันสั้นกว่าตัวที่มันสั้นกว่าเนี่ยแรงดึงของสายมันก็จะต่ำกว่าการเล่นของเราขยี้สายหรือว่าลีดของสายเล่นตัวเมโลดี้เนี่ยมันก็จะสบายขึ้น
So this guitar it takes up less space. It sort of has a smaller sonic picture than the one I played before. It's big, right? Big and fat. The Grand Concert guitar, anything that ends with a number 2 is a Grand Concert. The Grand Concert guitar is more intimate sounding. It's great for fingerstyle playing. If I change my style, I'm going to go back to the GO, the big loud guitar, the one with the big bass. And I'm going to change my style.
One second. Grand Concert นะครับวิธีดูจากรุ่นของเทเลอร์ก็คือลงท้ายด้วยเลข2 3 1 2 4 1 2 5 1 2 6 1 2 7 1 2 8 1 2ก็คือเขาใช้วิธีโค้ดของตัวเลขสุดท้ายบ่งบอกถึงรูปร่างของทรงกีตาร์อย่างถ้าเป็นทรง GO เนี่ยจะลงท้ายด้วยเลข8นะครับ
So I'm going to change my style now. I'm not going to hit it so hard. Little guitar, Grand Concert. Pretty interesting, right? The little guitar is louder
ไม่น่าเชื่อนะครับว่าแกรนด์คอนเสิร์ตบอดี้มันเล็กกว่าแต่ว่าแบบมันเหมาะกับการเล่นเป็นเขาเรียกว่าอะไรนะฟิงเกอร์พิกกิ้งก็คือการเกาเทียบกับตัว Geo แล้วบอดี้ใหญ่กว่าแต่เสียงออกมามันไม่ชัดเท่ากับตัวแกรนด์คอนเสิร์ต
And when you do that demonstration, you don't miss the big bassy guitar at all, really. You can hear the melody easier on the small guitar. This is something that took me a really long time to understand because what's actually happening is that small guitars need less energy from your picking hand to make sound. They actually can be louder with a really light touch. If you're somebody who's a guitar player who just kind of strums, your style is kind of just light, you'll actually get more sound out of a little guitar than a big guitar because it takes more energy to get the big guitar to move. It needs to move more air, so you need to hit it harder. So an interesting fact, I think.
นั้นจริงๆแล้วพลังเสียงของตัวกีตาร์มันขึ้นอยู่กับสไตล์การเล่นของพวกเรานั้นอยากจะให้อย่างที่เขาสาธิตให้ดูว่าถ้าเราเป็นการเล่นที่ตีคอร์ดเบาๆเนี่ยเสียงมันจะออกมาชัดมากกว่าตัวของ Geo ด้วยซ้ำทั้งที่ตัวบอดี้มันเล็กมากกว่าเพราะมันไม่ต้องใช้พลังเราในการตีคอร์ดออกมา
So we like to call the grand concert a secret weapon, right? Because it's a shape that it's kind of a newer shape. It's a shape that a lot of us don't own. This is the next guitar I want to buy. I don't own one this size, and I love to do fingerstyle playing, and I love to record. It's a great recording guitar. You put this thing in front of a microphone. You don't need to do any EQ. It just sits in the mix really nicely. There's not a lot of overtones, and it's just a really nice little picture of sound. So the next guitar is called a Dreadnought, and I think when you hear this guitar, you'll be like, "Yep, that's what acoustic guitars sound like," because it's a shape that we've all grown up listening to. All those records those guys were talking about earlier, they were all recorded on Dreadnoughts. All the James Taylor licks and all that, the Jim Croce stuff, all that stuff. Those are all on Dreadnoughts, all that stuff. The Dreadnought is a boxier kind of shape. It doesn't have the curves so much as some of the other shapes, like the GA. You can see right away, they're completely different curves. Right? But a Dreadnought is a familiar traditional sound. That guitar and you're like, yeah, that's kind of what acoustic guitars sound like, right? A Dreadnought is a complex sound. It takes up a lot of space. It's kind of the opposite of the grand concert guitar. Let me show you something here. Go back to the grand concert, the little guy for a second. And I'm going to play a chord, and I just want you to listen to the chord and listen to what happens as it decays, as the sound goes away.
เดี๋ยวเขาจะลองตีคอร์ดให้ฟังแล้วลองดูซิว่าเสียงมันจะไปเสียงมันจะไปหยุดขนาดไหนนะเปรียบเทียบกับตัวเรนนอต That major third ringing in there, those are all overtones. It's still going.
it still wants the same, right? So these are kind of some of the questions that you have to think about, because they're not all different. You just heard 4 guitars that sound pretty different from one another, you know, they're all great guitars. They're all really nice guitars. None of them are bad, but they each speak to us in different ways.
So and they have to buy all 4 shape to satisfy every kind.
That's up to you.
Yep.
That's up to you.
คือพูดง่ายๆกีตาร์แต่ละตัวมันมีเอกลักษณ์เสียงที่มันแตกต่างกันมันไม่มีตัวเดียวที่ตอบโจทย์แล้วได้ว่าโอ้โหเล่นตัวนี้แล้วมันได้หมดถึงแม้ว่า GA เขาจะบอกว่าเป็น GA ที่เล่นได้หลากหลายแนวตามแต่ว่าถ้าเราฟังกันเนื้อจริงอย่างที่แล้วผมได้ยินกันอยู่นะครับว่าพอเป็นอีกทรงนั้นเล่นสไตล์ finger picking เสียงมันแบบว่าโอ้โหชัดออกมามาก
Okay, so you just heard 4 body shapes. You heard the Grand Auditorium, which is the even and balanced one, good for many, many styles, most popular shape. You heard the Grand Orchestra, which is the big, fat one, big, loud one with lots of bottom end. You heard the Grand Concert, the 3rd guitar, small, intimate sounding, good for finger picking, great for recording, and just huggable, very comfortable. And then you heard the traditional sound of the Dreadnought.
ฉะนั้นถ้าจากที่เขาพูดมาแล้วเนี่ย ถ้าผมเป็นกีตาร์ซึ่งจะเป็นมือใหม่ ผมยังไม่มีสไตล์การเล่นที่ชัดเจนว่าจะเป็นมือเกาหรือว่าจะตีคอร์ดยังค้นหาตรงนั้นไม่เจอผมคิดว่าตัวทรง GA น่าจะเป็นทรงที่ตอบโจทย์ได้กลางๆที่สุดนะฮะ
Okay, so it's time to take a vote. I'd like to get your opinion. Okay, if you could only have one of those 4 guitars,